what you see on the table is a real jug, an ordinary object, an ordinary thing you would find on any table, but the jug picks up anamorphic, distorted images, moving images, and reflects them and corrects them and makes them into understandable little films on its surface. And the film that we've got on the wall, projected on the wall, is a kind of parody of the very things we're doing in the room. People are running to and fro to a table and negotiating objects on it. One of the rooms with these three-dimensional computer-generated objects with films projected on their surface. The films are mostly here images from Edward Muybridge. There's experiments in human locomotion and animal locomotion from the second half of the 19th century. There's also a text in this part. If you can you see the text over here?
Yeah.
The text is a poem by Wallace Stevens called Anecdote of the Jar. I placed a jar in Tennessee, and round it was upon a hill. It made the slovenly wilderness surround that hill. It's all about how placing an object or a thing can actually change its environment, and that's what we're exploring in the installation here.
So among the assemblies that we have gathered here, there is one type of assembly which people never think about, which is nature as an assembly. And here, thanks to many people, we have been able to produce an assembly of ecology, so to speak. Here it's an Alp valley which has been transformed into a political parliament thanks to the art of Didier de Morcy and several of his collaborators. So the reason we want to do that is to show that behind and in addition to the normal parliament, there are places, forms, which are not represented with due process, but which are nonetheless essential to the activity of politics.
The main idea of this model was to show what has been changing in the French Alps since the wolves arrived around 10 to 15 years ago, depending on the areas. And for example, before the wolf arrived in the left part of the model, the flocks were not guarded by people, whereas now they are. This is one of the main changes which have occurred, among many others.
So in this film, interactive film, we can see different wolves, different individuals which live in the same pack. It shows, in fact, all the work I've done about wolves. And during this work, I try to show that there are individuals in the group. All the wolves are not the same, and they behave differently. And we can see in this film individuals which are shy, which are aggressive or curious, and all this kind of behavior are shown in this film.
We have the wolves and we have the sheep. Two films which have been made especially for this show. One of them showing that sheep are actually not sheepish. Sheep are extremely interesting animals. So a scientist has shown that when sheep are actually taken seriously, they have a very interesting political and social life. These two examples try to make you think about the way we use animals for our political philosophy might be the wrong way to do it. So in the same way we have a parliament there, the parliament of ecology, here we have a parliament of waters. And it's the first time in any art show where we have these animals there, who are little snails, or rather clams, which are made to speak. They are political animals. These are the new political animals of ecological politics. And we have brought them just in front of the wheel or usual politician, that is people speaking in the name of a river. So here you have a non-human, here you have a human. Das ist Parlament der Dinge.
Okay, well, at the beginning of the project, we were wondering how to bring a proper river into the show. And we didn't know how to do it. I went to see some scientists to see how they bring rivers into laboratories. And this is why we decided to use their original material. They control the temperature of the water, they control the speed of the water, and with that they can grow corbiculas, which are special shells that live in fresh water. and they use this shell to make pollution visible. Because one problem with metallic pollution is that it's mainly invisible unless you have a big outbreak of pollution. But the accumulation, the effect of accumulation are not visible.
Das Projekt Rheinstreaming versucht eine möglichst direkte Form der Repräsentation des Rheins in Anlehnung an ein Projekt von Friedrich Weinbrenner aus dem 19. Jahrhundert, der einen Kanal vom Rhein bis zum Schloss, also in die Stadt, graben wollte. Wir haben einen direkten Datenstrom, ein Streaming des Flusses in die Ausstellung. An der Rheingüte-Messstation ist eine Webcam installiert, eine Videokamera, ein Unterwassermikrofon und es werden Daten von wissenschaftlichen Messgeräten ebenfalls hier in die Ausstellung übertragen.
The best way to see that things count into politics is to go to Holland, because in Holland, as you can see here, they have masses of socially constructed and materially constructed landscape, because they are fighting their country on the sea. And of course, the whole technology is linked to the politics in a very explicit way in the case of Holland. These Olafur Eliasson pictures have been taken near the Thing, the Icelandic parliament, and it's a very beautiful and important way of registering the natural aspect of his parliament. Now, among the assemblies which are not usually thought as being very important for politics is law, and especially bureaucracy. Well, thanks to some of the researchers in Switzerland, we have been able to make a monument to bureaucracy. Instead of considering bureaucracy and paper shufflers as bad people who should be rejected and debunked, they build this amazing totem in honor of bureaucracy. And I think it's the first time that democracy is taken as a synonym of bureaucracy. So what is very important to understand here is the notion of paper trails, because people usually despise the paper tools in order to make an administration or to make a law. And it's very important to see here that all the signs with which we are surrounded are actually held by legal reasoning, and which trace a long paper trails, which is very important to document if we want to understand a certain type of political assemblies, always forgotten the legal assembly. Oh, here is the phantom. Look, this is a nice case of a phantom. The phantom is very visible around the show. Now, among the paper technology that we constantly use to assemble information, there are all these very humble little notebooks that we constantly use, but they are not recognized for what they are. That is a way of assembling. And this is why they are in the show. They are a part of the assemblies of assemblies. This is a very moving piece by Graham Harwood about the people who have worked in this building for many years. And you actually hear the phantom also mixing its own respiration to the respiration of the people who actually worked here. We are still in the part which is the Parliament of Parliament and the Assembly of Assembly, and now we are considering the assemblies of the economics and supermarket, finance there and supermarket here, and taste here in those booths. So the idea is that we make many choices. Most of our choices are actually done around this question of market and buying and selling. There is no due process around it. There is no ways of making that legitimate. And yet those are very important quasi-parliament.
Ein Feld, in dem visuelle Repräsentationstechnologien besonders wichtig sind, ist der Markt der Ware. Man will, dass die Warenangebote zu uns sprechen. Und wir wissen klarerweise, dass das Gesicht das prägendste Medium ist, das zu uns spricht. Ja? Deswegen gibt es eine Vielzahl von Techniken, jede Ware mit einem Gesicht zu bekleben. Ja. Das heißt, die Ware soll zum Sprechen, wie ein Mensch. Ja. Und deswegen haben wir viele, viele Waren, die Porträts und die Gesichter von Menschen. Ja. Das heißt, diese Anthropomorphisierung, diese Vermenschlichung der Ware hat den Zweck, damit eben die Ware sie artikuliert und so spricht. Und das geht über die Ware hinaus. Also hier dieses Beispiel von Guillaume Paris, eben ein endloses Morphing von sprechenden Waren, also wo die Waren zu Gesichtern werden, zu Menschen, die zu sprechen. Das geht über die Ware hinaus, bis in den Warenraum, bis in den Schauraum, wo Waren dargestellt werden, eben im Beispiel dieses Films über die schönen Wunschwelten von Harun Farocke, wo man sieht, wie Experten stundenlang überlegen, in welche Richtung soll eben eine Zahnpasta oder Toilettenpapier oder ähnliche Waren schauen, damit sie uns ansprechen. Du sprichst man auch sehr in der Sprache, das ist ein ansprechendes Kleid, das ist eine ansprechende Ware. Wir haben nun gezeigt, auch in dieser Installation mit Cornflakes, dass jede Ware eine enorme Anzahl von Informationen in sich behält. Man kann quasi sagen, der Trumpf der Aufklärung hat sich reduziert darauf, dass in der Ware selber so viel Information enthalten ist, bis quasi in Moleküldetail hinein, wie viel Gramm von welcher Proteinen wir zu uns nehmen. Also die Ware ist so sprechend, dass die Kunden gar nicht mehr zuhören. Man kann heute auf eine Ware draufschreiben, diese Ware kann lebensgefährlich sein, beispielsweise eine Zigarette, und die Leute rauchen trotzdem. Ja. Das heißt, die Information, die in der Politik fehlt, weil steht auf keinem Politiker drauf, wenn Sie mich wählen, gefährdet das Arbeitsplätze, wenn Sie mich wählen, gefährdet das Ihre Gesundheit. Ja. Die fehlende Information der Politik gibt es in einem Übermaß in der Warenwelt, und dort schaut und hört in der Regel keiner mehr hin und keiner mehr zu. Der Markt ist eine Art Parlament, wo eben auch sozusagen Repräsentationstechniken stattfinden, die man vergleichen kann mit dem Parlament selber.
In this case, indicating different scenes of a mall. They walk themselves from one scene to the next at their own pace, spending as much or as little time with each scene and looking at it as they choose.